Stop wasting your time trying to unlock Waxwell in Dandy's world. If you want to get him as fast as possible, there are a few things you absolutely need to know. Waxwell has some unique mechanics, and the biggest problem for many players is getting enough research from his Twisted. If you don't understand how his encounter works, you could be wasting entire runs without making much progress. So in this guide, I'm going to show you exactly how to unlock Waxwell faster, which Goob Mastery missions you should focus on, how to maximize your research, how Rodger can speed up the process, and what you need to know when Twisted Waxwell finally appears. Let's start with the most basic requirement: IICOR. Waxwell costs 3,500 IICOR, making him one of the more expensive rare toons. If you don't have enough saved up yet, don't worry. You can work toward your IICOR and Waxwell's research at the same time. Completing floors, finishing runs, encountering a Twisted for the first time on a floor, completing machines, collecting capsules, and using abilities can all help you earn IICOR. So instead of focusing only on farming IICOR, keep playing while you search for Waxwell's research. You'll naturally build up your IICOR along the way. And you may reach 3,500 without even realizing it. But before you can buy Waxwell, there's another requirement you need to complete: 3 Goob Mastery missions. If you don't normally play Goob, you might not have these missions finished yet. Luckily, some of them are very easy and can be completed quickly if you know what to focus on. One of the easiest missions requires you to survive 3 floors while 4 other players are still in your run. The simplest way to do this is to equip Goob and enter matchmaking normally. If you get into a full lobby, just focus on surviving and reaching the required floors while keeping the other players in the game. The next missions involve picking up and using items. So while you're playing, don't ignore those random items sitting around the map. Pick them up and use them. Even basic items that you normally wouldn't bother with can help you finish these missions. If there's a Yada in your run losing health and dropping candy, you can take advantage of those drops as well. You can also buy items from Dandy's shop, which can help with the item-related progress. There's also a Goob Mastery mission that requires you to use his ability multiple times. This one can take a little longer because of the cooldown. But just use the ability whenever it becomes available, and you'll steadily complete it. Once those 3 Goob Mastery missions are finished, you can focus on the biggest part of the grind: Waxwell's research. You need 50% research to unlock Waxwell. And this is where things can get frustrating. Finding Twisted Waxwell isn't always easy, but there's a way to make every encounter count. This is where Rodger becomes extremely useful. Rodger gives you double the amount of research from capsules and Twisted encounters. So if you're comfortable playing him, using Rodger can make the Waxwell grind significantly faster. Of course, Rodger isn't necessarily easy for everyone. If you're playing on mobile, have bad internet, or simply struggle with his playstyle, you don't have to force yourself to use him. There's no point in using Rodger if you constantly die because you aren't comfortable with him. A toon you can play consistently is better than one that gives you a bonus but makes you lose runs. But if you can play Rodger well, definitely take advantage of his research bonus. Now here's something extremely important. You do not need to reach very high floors to find Twisted Waxwell. Waxwell can spawn very early in a run, even on floor 1. So don't assume you have to reach a high floor before you have a chance of encountering him. A good strategy is to search for him up to around floor 10. If he doesn't appear, start another run and try again. This can save you a huge amount of time compared to pushing deep into a run just because you're hoping Waxwell will eventually show up. And when Twisted Waxwell finally appears, there are 2 things you absolutely need to remember. First, collect his capsules. There are 2 Twisted Waxwell capsules that can appear around the map, and both give you research. If you're playing Rodger, you get double the normal amount from them. So when Waxwell appears, don't just focus on the encounter and immediately move on. Search the floor and make sure you collect both of his capsules. The second thing you need is the actual Twisted encounter. This is where Waxwell is very different from many other Twisteds. Twisted Waxwell does not simply chase you down and attack you. Instead, he actually runs away when you get close. To get the encounter, you need to approach him and enter the circle around his flame. Once you do this correctly, you'll see the ribbons appear, letting you know that you successfully registered the encounter. Without Rodger, the encounter gives you 5% research. With Rodger, you get 10%. Then, if you also collect both Waxwell capsules, you can get another 4% research. That means you can get around 14% research from a single Twisted Waxwell encounter if you're using Rodger and collecting everything. This is why Rodger can make such a huge difference. If you get around 14% each time, you only need about 4 successful encounters to reach the 50% research requirement. Without Rodger, you'll need roughly twice as many encounters, so you'll have to be a little more patient. But there's another reason why you need to understand Twisted Waxwell's mechanics. His flame can buff other Twisteds. While Waxwell's flame is active, he can give nearby Twisteds a buff. You'll notice this because their eyes start glowing. That buff increases their detection range, meaning those Twisteds can see players from farther away. It can sometimes make them feel faster, but the main effect you need to worry about is their increased vision range. So if you suddenly notice Twisteds with glowing eyes, check whether Waxwell is nearby. There's a good chance they've received his buff, and there's a simple way to stop it. You need to put out Waxwell's flame. When his flame is active, get close to him and enter the circle around him. Stay inside the circle for a few seconds, and the flame will go out. Once the flame is out, he can no longer buff the other Twisteds. However, the flame doesn't stay off forever. Waxwell can reignite after around 20 seconds, which means you may have to repeat the process throughout the floor. So if you're trying to keep the other Twisteds from getting buffed, keep an eye on Waxwell and put out his flame whenever it comes back. The tricky part is that Waxwell will try to run away from you. You have to follow him around the map, get close enough to enter the circle, and stay there long enough to put out the flame. But remember, the flame itself does not directly damage you when you get close to Waxwell. His biggest threat comes from the buff he gives to the other Twisteds. Now let's talk about Waxwell himself and his ability. One of Waxwell's biggest weaknesses is his stamina. Because of his stamina-related debuff, managing your stamina is extremely important when playing him. One trinket that can help is the Cooler, which gives you 50 stamina but reduces your movement speed by 5%. If you want to compensate for that speed penalty, you can use another trinket that gives you those 5% back. This can help balance his stats and make him more comfortable to play. Waxwell also starts with a stamina debuff that makes stamina regeneration slower. Because of this, you need to be careful about how much stamina you spend, especially if you aren't using stamina-focused trinkets. Now for the most interesting part, Waxwell's ability. When you activate his ability, Waxwell creates flames around himself. While the ability is active, his stamina-related debuff disappears temporarily. But those flames aren't only useful for Waxwell himself. Other players can use the flames to get an effect that helps reduce the cooldown of their abilities. This can be extremely useful depending on which toons are in your team. For example, Shelly has an ability that can be very useful during extraction. If you place Waxwell's flames strategically, Shelly can use them to get her ability back faster. So instead of randomly placing your flames everywhere, think about where your teammates are and which abilities they can actually benefit from. However, there's an important detail. Walking through your own flames does not reduce your own ability cooldown. The flames are mainly designed to benefit the other players around you, so if you have teammates with strong active abilities, try to place your flames where they can easily reach them. Passive abilities obviously won't benefit in the same way, so not every toon is going to get the same value from Waxwell's flames. Another interesting interaction happens when you encounter another Waxwell. If you use another Waxwell's ability, you can receive the cooldown-related effect from his flames, but your own stamina debuff remains separate. And when the blackout happens, Waxwell doesn't suddenly become a completely different character. His ability isn't specifically designed around the blackout. However, the flames can still be useful because they're easy to see and can help you keep track of what's happening around you. So now, let's put everything together. If your goal is to unlock Waxwell as fast as possible, start by completing the 3 required Goob Mastery missions. Focus on the easiest objectives first. Survive the required floors with other players. Pick up items, use items, and make progress toward the ability use mission. At the same time, start building up your IICOR. You need 3,500 IICOR for Waxwell, but you don't have to stop everything else just to farm it. You'll naturally earn IICOR while completing runs, machines, capsules, encounters, and other activities. Once you're ready to grind research, use Rodger if you're comfortable with him. When Twisted Waxwell appears, remember the 2 most important things. Collect both of his capsules and get the actual encounter. To get the encounter, approach Waxwell and enter the circle around his flame. If you're using Rodger, you can get around 10% research from the encounter and another 4% from his 2 capsules. That gives you around 14% total per successful encounter. 4 good encounters can be enough to reach the 50% research requirement. If you aren't using Rodger, you can still unlock Waxwell normally. You'll just need more encounters and a little more patience. And remember, Twisted Waxwell can appear extremely early. You could get lucky and find him on the 1st or 2nd floor, so don't waste your time pushing incredibly deep into every run just to look for him. Try searching up to around floor 10. And if you don't find him, start over and try again. If you follow all of these tips, you can make the Waxwell grind much faster and avoid wasting research opportunities. And once you finally unlock Waxwell, you'll also know exactly how his ability works, how to manage his stamina, how to use his flames to support your teammates, and how to deal with his twisted form when he appears in your run. So, if you're currently grinding for Waxwell, hopefully this guide saves you a lot of time. And if you already have Waxwell, let me know in the comments how long it took you to unlock him and how many floors you had to search before you finally found Twisted Waxwell. If this guide helped you, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more Dandy's World guides, secrets, and updates.